Well, hello, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen, and a special hello to Lance and all my spooky friends up on the hilltop. Anyways, this week's blog has to do with one of our clients and an issue that apparently has manifested here in Southern California. Very well, maybe a nationwide issue. One of our clients came in and was confessing an event that had happened. Basically, to make a long story short, you can read about it in the blog. He was scammed over the phone by somebody who claimed to have kidnapped his daughter. And fortunately, it was a complete hoax. His daughter was perfectly fine, but you can imagine the level of distress that this elderly gentleman had gone through. And fortunately, the police department was able to intervene before he did anything that would have put him into some sort of financial hardship. Um, when the reason that this really decided to become developed into a blog had to do with the fact that the police mentioned to the client that this was about the eighth time that this had happened. And I checked with some of my law enforcement friends, and they said that in actuality the numbers were greater than that. This type of scam seems to be becoming more and more prevalent, and I thought it was really important for everybody to understand this. One of the things that's so insidious about this type of scam is that it utilizes something that's referred to as social engineering. And social engineering being the idea that there's certain predicate things that an adversary can do to manipulate an individual into behaving in a prescribed manner of action. And there's certain trigger things that effectively can be utilized to make somebody do something that they otherwise wouldn't do. And it happens to us all the time. Unfortunately, criminals are becoming more sophisticated and they're starting to understand the underlying nature of psychology, and they're using this psychology against us. That doesn't mean that we're going to be able to take some sort of magic pill or simply by being exposed to it, you know what's going on. But understanding the types of social pressures that can make you do something, the urgency that takes place in a phone call, the appeal to empathy, things like that, that can help keep us on guard. And the reality is that there are a lot of types of threats that exist out there. A lot of the people at the Artemis Defense Institute are very concerned about the type of threat that would necessitate use of violence in order to protect themselves. The reality is the types of threats that we have to deal with sometimes can be no more than a phone call. In any event, I highly encourage you to read the blog this week, educate yourself as to some of the things that are happening out there. And as I always say, train constantly, train consistently, train with purpose, and above all else, stay vigilant. Until next week, we'll talk again.